So you took your epic idea from your childhood, that one that's probably based from your favorite anime or cartoon, or an interesting prompt from the internet, and now you want to fulfill your dreams of making an epic, creative, fictional world. So, what should you consider? Oya, kumusta? Joe here, a world builder and OC artist, and today let's talk about things to consider when starting a world. World building is a big beast, and it's possible to overlook a few obvious topics that can strengthen or expand your world. So, here we go. Number 1. Structure of the world. In fantasy, there's what's called a high fantasy and a low fantasy. High fantasy kinda sounds like a drug name, so now I'm going to just call it epic fantasy, and that's the fantasy that takes place in a whole new world, while low fantasy takes our existing world and adds something abnormal to it. Likewise in world building, if you're bored with this world, you can either recreate it in a new perspective, like our world but has guns. Oh no, wait, that already exists. How about Europe, but everybody has wands? Harry Potter. A low type world structure. Or if you think our world is beyond saving, I wouldn't blame you, and maybe wish to get isekai or something, you can toss our own world to the bin and create an entirely new world like Lord of the Rings. Middle Earth is a high type world structure. Note that one is not superior to the other, and both have their pros and cons. Notably, low worlds require a lot of research of our world, including the culture and the political structure, and finding out how that new factor, like magic or guns or magic guns, can influence our current status quo. For higher epic world structures, you need to put in a bit more work, as you are literally making a world from scratch. Also, epic worlds tend to escalate quickly in terms of growing too big in the amount of original information you feel like you need to produce. All because it's more of a blank page than worlds based from our reality. This quick inflation can intimidate world builders as they suddenly have to fill a lot of information, from the culture to the religion to the politics and to the type of guns people use. My advice for this is to just pick what aspects of your world you want to be unique, and just base from real life the aspects that are not as important to the purpose of your world. You're interested in weird landscapes like in Avatar, the blue monkey one, then focus on the weird landscapes and just slap some generic tribe structure to the people. Love interesting characters? Pokemon did it too! But they did not care how to explain their food system work, nor their economy. Though Pokemon is kind of in between a high and low world structure, but you get the point. If you want to focus on politics, then just stick to a low structure. Okay, personal opinion. Unlike other examples, slapping a generic fantasy world then spicing it up with politics usually ends up as an unoriginal world. Create a unique world, then add the politics. If Animal Farm got pigs to create politics, then any unique fictional world can. Last in this part of world building is that it is also possible to have aspects of both high and low worlds rolled into one. A great example is the DC and Marvel universe. Most of their stories may be grounded to Earth, or a version of it, but they also have high fantasy structures in the form of different dimensions or crazy timelines. Number 2. Setting of the world. This includes your time and scale. For both high and low worlds, your selected time frame can illustrate what the technology and culture of your world can be. Do you want gentlemen with fling guns, cyborgs with laser guns, or cavemen with cave guns? And you can also use this to determine the theme of your world, like Victorian era for steampunk, or set the time back even more to the past to get the Crusaders storming Jerusalem theme, or go way into the future and select its three-starter theme of dystopian, utopian, or robots. Aside from the timeline, we also have the scale of your world. How big do you want your world to go? Do you just want to focus on a dystopian country like Hunger Games? A little bit bigger like a mythical world like One Piece? A few planets and star systems like Halo? A galaxy and a bit extra like Warhammer 40k? Or much bigger than that like Doctor Who? The map you would use to identify your world will be its scale. Narnia is technically a universe of its own, but its map is just a few countries that you see in the start of the book. For the scale of your world, my advice is to go for a smaller scale. One of the key aspects that makes a world good is how interconnected it is, how everything affects everything else. The smaller the world, the less difficult it is to build an interconnected or tall world. However, on the other hand, a world too small can be rigid and lose its sense of wonder, so it's all a balancing act. I also want to mention that there are also those kinds of worlds that grow big using different timelines. These types of worlds are usually confusing, but it has its own perks, like repeating the same event or storyline with different twists. One of the top examples on my head would be the Nasuverse and probably other J visual novels. Third is magic. Usually one of the main highlights of a fictional world. For magic, you have to know first if you will have any to begin with. It is possible for fantasy to not have any magic. Just want to make that clear. Now, if you do want to have magic, there's soft and hard magic. Basically, soft magic are more mystical and the rules are either fluid or not fully revealed to the audience, while hard magic has their rules laid out. What you see is what you get. Just take note that all magic systems lie in a spectrum between these two extremes. If you want to learn more about this topic, sadly I'm not really good at explaining soft and hard magic. There are a lot of videos explaining these better. I suggest the one done by Hello Future Me, links below. For my magic systems, however, I don't decide if my magic would be soft or hard at the start. I first grow the initial concept and purpose of the magic. After building on the magic system and how it operates, you will find that the magic system will land itself somewhere in the spectrum. Though I have to admit most of my magic systems do lean towards the hard magic side, since I'm quite an addict when it comes to learning how stuff works down to the rotation of the cogs, and my magic systems are no exception. Now, for your magic, you have to ask yourself, what is the purpose of my magic and how involved it is to the society? A good way of seeing how magic works is by relating it to technology. Observe our world and its dependence to technology. It's not only using for fighting people with guns, missiles, or exploding robot kittens. It's also used for traveling, for treating people, and of course for creating food, which is why the rice cooker is one of man's greatest inventions. In other words, magic is like the Swiss Army knife of world building. It can be just a knife, but don't sleep on its near limitless potential. And so let's end it here for now. I want you to reflect on the world you are creating and see if you have overlooked these topics. Next time, we will continue with the more abstract aspects of world building like theme, purpose, and design choices. If you want to start a new world but don't know where to start, the How to World Build playlist is down below. Knock yourself out. If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like and share it. And if you want to see more videos on world building, the big red subscribe button is down there just for you. This is Joe Bayani, hoping you get your world created. Love you all. Bye-bye.